Hey Craig,
Hey Joe, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I don't feel like there's really much in Nats Town to talk about.
It's been a quite quiet week, actually.
Yeah, there's nothing at all happening, right? I
No,
think that's
no,
how that works.
that's fine. Yeah, and it's no big deal. I mean, it wasn't the craziest week of the season or anything.
Like not even it's not even close. I mean, the what's happened with the Washington Nationals in the last week has been nothing short of remarkable. Um,
Oh, I'm gonna stop you right there.
yeah.
This beer is fantastic.
Would you like to share with the people what you're drinking?
I'm drinking an Evil Twin Molotov Light. It's 8.5%, and it's light.
Light.
But yeah, I took my first sip, and I just had to stop you because that
It's
felt
that
good.
good.
It's good. I mean, that thing is nice.
I want to be on it.
I want to be on it. So sorry to rudely interrupt, but this is what the people demand of us, I guess, or
These things
me.
are important. I'm much lighter and drinking a Schlafly summer lager.
Oh, that's a good beer.
It is very tasty. It's a
Anyway,
very tasty summer beer. So I'm looking around. So I think we're going to start with the Nationals offense. I think that's what we should. No, I'm fucking with you. Obviously, we're going to talk about Max Scherzer. Uh, yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. If you follow either Craig or I on Twitter, we both happened to be at the game together on Saturday when Max Scherzer pitched his no hitter. It was one of the singular coolest sports experiences I've had in my life. Maybe the coolest sports experience I've ever had in my life.
yeah, right now I'm waffling between one and two. It's either number one or number two. And
So, what are your top two then?
my top two right now, obviously in no particular order, is the Scherzer perfect no hitter.
Oh, you
And
almost did it. You almost did it.
what, perfect no hitter?
Yeah,
That's just what I'm calling it.
I kind of love it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call it that.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. Um, and then number other one too is when JMU won the 2004 national championship game.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really
So
good one.
yeah, that was my freshman year of college, and I was there with the band and everything. So that was a pretty cool experience. But so right now I'm waffling, not sure, because I mean, once in a lifetime
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see, such. And the thing was, it was dominant.
Yeah.
It was it was incredible. Like usually you have those sparkling plays, and there's a few of them. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Michael Taylor catch in the third inning or the Danny Espinosa charging from short field, and
Which was unbelievable.
which was a great play. But
Yeah.
like there wasn't that one singular moment where you were like, oh, holy crap. There wasn't Dwayne Wise robbing a home run during Mark Burley's.
Yeah. Or um, Steven Souza style
Yes. Yeah,
grab.
there wasn't that one play. And I think that's just kind of telling how dominant Max Scherzer was on
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon. I mean, he threw 106 pitches, 82 of them for strikes.
Yeah. When I saw that game ended, Max Scherzer threw 106 pitches in a no hitter and nearly a perfect game. That is unreal.
Yeah.
With 10 strikeouts.
With double-digit strikeouts, yeah.
Yeah, with 10 strikeouts.
Mhm.
So it's really unbelievable. I still don't think that I've fully gotten my head around the fact that that's something that I witnessed, even though I was there to witness it.
Right.
Um,
It's very surreal. It definitely exceeded expectations. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. To see something like that when you start really, and as I wrote, it was like the second or third inning when I was like, oh, he looks so good.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, we're just glossing over his start a week ago.
Exactly, which was almost a no hitter.
Which was 6 inches away from a diving catch that would have been a no hitter with one walk.
Yeah.
Which was in the eighth, I want to say.
It was either the eighth or the ninth. I'm pretty sure it was the eighth. He threw a bunch of pitches in that eighth inning.
Anyway, and once again, you're looking at a 16 strikeout, one walk, one hitter, complete game shutout.
Yeah. I mean,
earlier in the week, and you never ever see stars that close together that are so utterly dominant. And you've seen the stats, I'm sure, because if you're anything like me, Sunday you just devoured every Internet Inc. piece you could find on Scherzer and what it meant and game scores and all sorts of stuff. And it was more dominant than any two starts pretty much since, 1918?
Yeah, it's an absurd number.
Even Johnny Vandermeer, who everyone knows is the only pitcher to ever throw 2 no-hitters in a row, he walked like 11 dudes.
Yeah, right.
In the 2 games.
Right.
Max Scherzer walked 1, struck out 26, gave up 1 hit and hit 1 batter, quote unquote.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole other thing that I'm sure we're going to talk about here pretty soon.
So to see 2 starts that dominant back to back, and what's more impressive is he did it last week and everyone freaked out. And everyone was going into Saturday being like, yeah, he was incredible, but there's no way we're going to see that again. 7 innings, 2 runs, maybe, 8 innings. I mean, he threw a lot of pitches. He threw a complete game. He was probably pretty taxing against the Brewers, but no one came to the ballpark expecting utter dominance to that level.
No, because it never happens that way. A guy pitches a no-hitter or a perfect game, and then the next game is a bit of a hangover game. I mean, that's just how it works. You can't expect a guy to throw 100 to 120 pitches at full tilt going for that kind of game. And 5 days later, I have all that thing. One thing I didn't realize until I went back and looked at the stats, I think Max Scherzer had an extra day off.
Yep.
Which I did not realize until I went back to write the piece. And you got to imagine that was significantly helpful. In order to get him a little recharged, he had an extra day of rest coming off of a pretty intense game, obviously. So you'd have to imagine it's just, you look back on it, and you have guys like Peter Gammons, who is pretty well regarded as one of the smarter baseball writers in existence, who tweeted in the middle of the Max Scherzer game, quote, "This Max Scherzer thing is getting absurd," close quote. And Scherzer wasn't even close to a no-hitter yet. I mean, it was several innings out from a no-hitter. It's just he had put these innings together over multiple games. Max Scherzer's numbers are comical this year. They're video game numbers.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. He leads baseball in pretty much everything that's good. Except for wins, Joe.
Well, So Max Scherzer, you're right. Even in innings, he's in the top 3 in the National League. I mean, in everything that he's doing, he's leading. He has a 4.0 wins above replacement on the year, a 4 flat wins above replacement on June 20th as a pitcher.
Yeah.
You know who's next in the National League?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they were 0.8 behind him.
If you're looking at Fangraphs WAR, he's 1.5 behind, and it's Clayton Kershaw.
Oh, National League. Okay, sorry.
My
apologies.
Yeah. Chris Archer's second.
Yes.
With 0.8 behind.
Yeah, because I believe both he and Harper are 0.8 ahead of the rest of the universe.
Yeah,
in respective WAR.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I nailed it. I know.
Yeah, nailed it.
Thank you for that.
But he has a full win and a half. He's a full win and a half better than Clayton Kershaw. And it's June 20th, or as of his last start, it was June 20th. I mean, that is unreal ability. And I've heard this from so many people, and so it's worth bringing up. I watch a lot of baseball. I watch a lot of baseball outside of the National League East. Did not watch a lot of Tigers starts over the last several years. I knew that Max Scherzer was really good. Knew he was a Cy Young Award winner. Knew he put up crazy strikeout numbers. Knew he threw really hard. Knew he was really talented. I had no idea.
Yeah, and
I had no idea.
The thing is, he wasn't this pitcher.
I didn't know that this was a capability.
Right. Like, we're talking a pitcher who's already got a Cy Young Award.
Right.
Under his belt. So you're pretty sure where the ceiling is. I mean, when you're talking a Cy Young Award winner and a multiple-time All-Star dominant pitcher, you really kind of know what you're getting. But this is better.
Yeah.
This is I can't think of the right word. It's supernatural almost.
Yes. Yeah,
So
it is. It's I mean, I think in my piece that I wrote, I called it superhuman. It's not. It. You hear it all the time. It's referred to kind of in talking heads kind of conversations on sports talk radio and stuff. But these are video game numbers. It's a 1.76 earn run average in 14 starts and 100 innings. That's unreal. I want to pull it up real quick before I say and get quoted on it. That is just a tick better than Clayton Kershaw put up last year in his Cy Young season.
Right.
And his Cy Young and MVP season.
Yeah, MVP. Don't forget that part.
Yeah. So the problem is with Max Scherzer that he's got a guy on his own team that's trying to screw him from getting an MVP too.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is I know everyone's still kind of in freak out mode over Saturday with total good reason.
Yeah.
It hasn't really sunk in for a lot of people.
Yep.
But what the fans in the park and the fans watching on TV and everyone at home, I think people need to realize what we just witnessed in the past week with Max Scherzer.
Yep.
Like, I know I've mentioned it already tonight, but we're looking at a game score of 100 and a game score of 97 in consecutive starts. Like, game score of 100, there have been fewer of those than perfect games, which Max Scherzer was one strike away from getting just 6 days later.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to think that could happen in such a short period of time, but it has, and somebody's brought it up, and not to look too far ahead, but Max Scherzer's next start is probably going to be on Friday against Philadelphia, who is the worst offense in baseball.
Isn't it in Philadelphia though?
I think it might be in Philly. I haven't looked up. Actually, no, I think it's back here.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a weird thing where the Nationals are only on the road for 3 games or something like that. Oh, no, you're right. It's at Philly. They're here for Atlanta and then in Philly. I got it backwards.
Which some are in Philly in Citizens Bank Small Park.
The ball's going to fly.
Ball's going to fly, but with the way Max Scherzer has been missing bats at a rate that I want to say is second only to Chris Sale in baseball, which Chris Sale, if you haven't been watching and paying attention to Chris Sale, he is one of, I think, 3 pitchers in the history of baseball to strike out more than 12, and I want to say 5 consecutive starts.
Yeah, it was a ton of starts in a row.
I think he literally joined like Pedro Martinez and Roger Clemens.
Yeah, he's really good and underrated because he plays on the wrong side of Chicago.
Yes. So anyway, I beg everyone to go and read Joe's account of Saturday on the Nats blog, because it really just captures the day, the emotion, the feelings, the excitement, and just the craziness of everything, because it was a crazy day.
Yeah, it really was. It was, like we said, it was hard to kind of describe and get the feeling around, but once you realized it was happening, it was pretty cool. And on the same side, I also, no-hitters and historical baseball events are things that happen infrequently. The Nationals have had 2 no-hitters in like 70 games or something, which is unbelievable if you go back to last season. Because there are still franchises in baseball, see San Diego Padres, who do not have a no-hitter or a perfect game in their history, and it took the New York Mets 40 years to get one.
Yeah, and they broke their pitcher in doing so.
I mean, his career is over. So it's a really special thing, and I think that when you see historical events, whether you were at a game watching it or you're at home watching it or you were just hearing about it, I think it's important to put it in perspective of the things that are important to you in life and what that kind of means outside of the narrative of just looking at a sporting event. And to continue to pitch a little bit here, if you haven't somehow have missed Craig's piece on the Nats blog about family and Father's Day and no-hitters, you should, and carry some tissues with you when you do, because it's very good. It's very touching. Having known Craig for almost 2 decades, it was very well done. And I'm sure that there are a whole lot of people, fathers and sons and mothers and daughters and everything in between, who can really appreciate that family dynamic. So You should read that if you haven't. Now.
Thanks, buddy.
Of course.
Do you want to keep talking about good things?
Yeah, I want to keep talking about good things.
So Bryce Harper's still really good.
Yeah, Bryce Harper. So we've had a lot of conversations offline since our last podcast, obviously, about a whole lot of things, and one of those things is Bryce Harper. And man, when Bryce Harper went down with that injury, potential, it was an injury. He missed time. A couple of days ago on Thursday, I guess it was, or on Wednesday of last week.
When the world collapsed and everyone was sad.
I was one of them, man.
Joe was on the Kool-Aid. He was in the Twitter meltdown. It happened.
You just look at it, and it wasn't just the fact that Bryce Harper went down. There were so many things that were happening at that time that it's like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, it was just kind of one thing to be piled on to a national season that has been such an unbelievable roller coaster. And at the time, the Nationals were certainly kind of hitting the bottom of the bell curve in terms of the way down on the roller coaster. So when Harper went down, you just kind of thought, well, that seems perfect. That was really kind of what my thought process was. And I'll tell you, when I saw that Bryce Harper missed a single game, and when we were near the ballpark, and I got the lineup, and I looked down and I saw that Bryce Harper was in that lineup, I could not believe it.
It was very
unbelievably
exciting.
Shocked.
Yeah, and
all he did was come in and hit 2 home runs in 2 games.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, he continued to swing quite the hot bat. But going down, his injury, if you look closely, he's not grabbing his knee, and that's what made me feel comfortable. What made me feel a little bit more comforted, I should say.
Yeah.
Than everyone saying, "Oh, it's his knee, it's his knee." And yes, it was a non-contact injury. He wasn't like, he rounded a base wrong. He literally, it looked like his knee buckled, and he just fell. But I mean, he slipped. There was, it was in Tampa, right?
No, it was here.
It was here. Was it here? I believe it was a rainy day, though, right?
It was right after a ridiculous rain.
Yeah. So anyway, tough conditions. He slid, and hamstring injuries can be one of the toughest injuries. It's kind of like the oblique, where you can't really do anything until you feel better, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're better.
Yeah, right.
So if you try and push it and it's not better, it will tell you, and then you just have to reset the clock. And the fact that even a hamstring injury, you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks instead of a knee, which would be a year.
Oh yeah, I mean, a knee. If you're talking about tear in a knee, you don't. Don't want to do the doctor thing, but most times you're missing the rest of the year. Whenever that happens. I mean,
the fact that it was a minor hamstring injury, and he's come back and he's looked fine, he's run well, he's obviously hit well. I think that's just huge for the national season because, like you already said once, he's MVP kind of stuff right now. He is leading the absolute universe in everything. Offensively. I'm pretty sure he has a over 1,200 OPS right now.
Yeah, he does.
Which I want to say the only players with higher OPSs since he's been born have been Frank Thomas 1 year, Barry Bonds 1,000,000 times, and Mark McGwire in his home run season.
Yeah.
So I think those are the only players that have been able to do that over a full season since he has been alive.
Yeah, I think that people really appreciate what Bryce Harper's done, and obviously you should because it's unbelievably impressive. But somehow I still think that Bryce Harper's running away with the MVP in the National League.
Yeah,
he's running away with it.
Paul Goldschmidt is having an otherwise what would be an MVP season.
Oh yeah,
he's not close.
Huge year,
but he's not close.
Yeah,
considering the circumstance, considering that literally offensively, Harper is carrying the team outside of one other person.
Yeah,
we're going to talk to and talk to. No, we're not going to talk to.
Yeah, that would
be really cool. But who we're going to talk about soon. But Bryce Harper has just been. He has reached a point that everyone has been expecting since that 2 years ago when he ran into the wall at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
He was there. He was here for a month. He was at this level for a month, and then he got hurt and hasn't really been the same since. And everyone's been, last year, all the pundits said this is Bryce Harper's year. There was an injury. This year, this is Bryce Harper's year. And so far, through almost half the season, he is having one of the best offensive seasons in baseball history.
Yep.
Like, he is on pace for a +10 WAR.
Yeah.
Like, Trout style.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Barry Bonds style, Babe Ruth style.
Yeah, it's incredibly impressive. Like you said, he has like almost 300 plate appearances on the year. This is not like this no longer qualifies as any sort of sample size anything. I mean, this is a Bryce Harper is doing Bryce Harper things, and if he stays healthy, this is the kind of guy that we could be looking at. You look at advanced numbers. He's got a 500 weighted on base average, and
that's absurd.
And his weighted runs created plus
is like 220 something.
It's 223, which means that he is 113% better than league average.
123.
123% better than league average because I cannot do math apparently.
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
You just subtract 100.
I know. I just had to change the first number and I messed it up.
Yep, that's what you got.
But yeah, he's 123% better than league average in terms of offensive production. I mean, his isolated power numbers are almost 400, and I know that I'm going down a lot of advanced stats now that people don't necessarily care about all that much on a podcast, but it's ridiculous. I mean, it is like Scherzer superhuman.
Andy's 22.
And and that thing.
And he's only 22 years old, and it's his 4th season in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's the thing that continues to be impressive. I mean, you look at a guy who is 22 years old. The vast majority of Major League Baseball players have not made their debut.
God, where were you at 22, Joe?
I was doing way worse stuff.
I was drunk.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Just that whole year.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's really impressive. You look at what Harper can do, and the Nationals have needed Bryce Harper this year. The offense has been not good. And
that's a great little segue you're doing right here. I love it. I want everyone to take note of the segue Joe's doing. Continue.
You've totally ruined the segue because you once you draw attention to the segue, you ruin the segue.
No, I wanted everyone to see. It was like a parenthesis thing. It was like, hey guys, check what Joe's doing.
We're going to go over here now.
This is baller.
So when you look at what Bryce Harper's doing, it is really impressive. And it's impressive because the Nationals' offense has not been good. And it's kind of is what makes it so impressive. He's carried the team. He's gotten the Nationals to a game and a half up in the National League East. And you have guys, but you have like one or two other guys who are producing and above their averages to ridiculous levels. And one of those guys, Yunel Escobar.
Yeah. And before we quickly touch on him, you've got Jason Worth out, Ryan Zimmerman out. Anthony Rendon was out for up until 2 weeks ago?
No longer than that, but still.
Okay.
3 weeks recently.
Ago, a few weeks ago, several weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he is still yet to hit a home run or really get going. Denard Span is having a solid year, but
Denard Span's hitting very well.
Yeah, but Danny Espinosa, career resurgence, but we're still talking a 270 to maybe 280 hitter.
Yeah.
With a little bit of pop. So we're not talking.
The defense is his value.
The defense is a big majority of his value.
Yeah.
And then you've got Yunel Escobar.
Yeah.
Who literally had his career year, I want to say in 2009. And something like that. And all of a sudden, we're taking a player who hit 260 last year, and he's hitting 330.
Yeah. 2008, 2009, and 2011 were pretty good years for Escobar, but we're talking, sub 300 average years. I mean, his 2011 2009 season, he had almost a 380 on base percentage. He's over 380 now on the year and hitting 331, like you said. I mean, he has 3 5-hit games this year. It's June. That's crazy. To have a guy to have 5-hit games, a 5-hit game at all. A lot of guys don't get all season. He's had 3 before the All-Star break. you look at, I mean, Yunel Escobar has been a really special player, and I know that when that signing happened, a lot of people, were confused about the Tyler Clippard side of things, which is not part of my thing. I mean, there were previous character issues with Yunel Escobar from things that happened, and there was just kind of like a concern about him with the team. And he's kind of proven everybody wrong, and he's producing on the field. He's absolutely one of my favorite guys to watch play baseball this year. It's not just that he's producing. He's got this great dynamic on-field personality.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic personality. And this is a player who's been dogged with clubhouse issues.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Exactly. Yeah. But you look at it now, and it's just like, oh, it's something special to watch him taking at bat. My favorite thing in the world is when he takes a close pitch and he watches it all the way back to the glove and he just starts shaking his head side to side. Yeah. And he just, nope. Like, not showing the umpire up. He's just saying, that's not a strike, and I know that's not a strike, and you should know that I know that's not a strike because look at my on-base percentage.
Yep, it's fantastic, and he's been such a huge player, and I know everyone loves Tyler Clippard. Tyler Clippard's not having a good year. I know everyone wants him back, and he's probably better than a lot of the Nats' current bullpen because honestly, it hasn't been great.
Right.
But he's not having a great year. He really isn't, and with this Yunel Escobar thing seemingly coming out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's such a huge coup for the Nationals and Mike Rizzo. It's yet another trade that has really seemed to work out.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have known it from the beginning, especially, and I think a lot of the things that that people focus on now are, the Nationals have there are some bullpen issues. There's no question about it. The productivity with the bullpen is not where the Nationals are going to need it to make a deep run. There's no question about it. But you look at what the Nationals got Yunel Escobar, a guy who plays outside of a brief injury stint. You take a guy that plays every day at what was supposed to be a middle infield position, but has become a third base position because of Anthony Rendon coming, basically the beginning of the year. But you get a guy who can play a corner position to hit for extremely high average. And just kind of help the Nationals get through a tough time, as you said, missing Jason Worth, missing Ryan Zimmerman. These are huge middle-of-the-lineup guys that are just missing from the Nationals lineup.
Let alone Ian Desmond forgetting what baseball is.
Yeah, he's having a really tough year, and it's really hard. But you look at Ian Desmond's numbers and take Yunel Escobar out of that equation, the Nationals are in serious trouble this year without Yunel Escobar. I mean, it's a lot of offensive value. It's not the same kind of defensive value that you're going to get from a Danny Espinosa or an Ian Desmond, but you are getting so much offensive value and just a ton of contact. He's not striking out. He's not going to he's got a 13% strikeout rate. It's not like it's nothing, but it's still, he's making a ton of contact. He's putting the bat on the ball a lot, and he's getting on base a third of the time. I mean, that's getting well more than a third of the time, I should say. He's hitting a third of the time. Getting on base for a hit a third of the time. So it's really special to watch. And then, like you said, you look at what Tyler Clippard is doing in Oakland this year. He's having a fine year. He's not having a Tyler Clippard in DC type of season.
And his rate stats are not looking great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his
success.
His strikeout rate is going up a little bit. So that's looking good. His walk rate is unbelievably high. He's walking more than 4 guys per 9 innings, which is above even career average for him, and he walked a lot of guys. But he also he gives up a lot of fly balls, and it works better in Oakland than it does in DC. So it would obviously be nice to have Tyler Clippard back in the bullpen. I still think that he'd be a huge valuable piece for the Nationals, especially with a lot of people struggling. But I think that, you compare what Tyler Clippard's doing and what Yunel Escobar has done, it's not even a...
It's a huge win for the Nationals.
It's not even a conversation.
When the Nationals need a win. And speaking of trades that have been damn successful for Mike Rizzo, there was a trade.
Everybody check out Craig's segue. It's really good.
Thank you for noticing. Goal.
Oh, you're killing me, dude. I'm behind.
They ruled it off. What the hell? Offsides. Oh, you suck, Braden.
Craig's watching the U.S. Women's National Team soccer game, so this is what the ranting is happening right now.
So, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
So this offseason, the Padres and Rays were working on. Padres and Rays were working on a pretty. Okay, yeah, she was offsides. Padres and Rays were working on a pretty big trade, sending some pieces around, and somehow, some way, Rizzo Dark 30 snuck in there and said, "Oh, we're just going to give up this extra fifth outfielder we've got, and you're going to give us 2 players, one of whom is going to be the Nationals' top position prospect, and that's a gentleman named Trey Turner."
The Padres, you mean?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, Padres. And everyone was like, "Oh, Trey Turner, that's so awesome. Oh, who else did they get? Oh, some other guy. Oh, okay, cool." That other guy is Joe Ross.
Yeah.
And Joe Ross is 3 starts into his major league career. First start, I believe, was okay. Not great. The next 2 were absolutely phenomenal. Just great appearances and striking out double digits and just absolutely dominating the competition. And it looks like, as of right now, his start, not this past one, but 2 starts ago, looked to be a big milestone for the Nationals in their season. It really kind of turned some things around for him.
Yeah.
So, Joe Ross. You got anything on Joe Ross, Joe?
Well, he is a quintessential Mike Rizzo type of guy. He's going to strike out a lot of guys. He strikes out 10 batters per 9 innings. So he fits into the, Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, even to a lesser extent, Gio Gonzalez, who's, he's usually around 8 or 9 strikeouts per 9 school of thought, in terms of you get a guy and you want to miss as many bats as possible. That's really what Mike Rizzo looks for in his pitchers for the most part. And he does that. It's really impressive to watch him pitch, because the thing that I recall most from his debut and the starts after that is the composure is unreal. He's just standing out there. There are guys, and it reminded me of when Sammy Solis made his debut as well. He just kind of went out there and just started throwing the baseball, and it looked like he had done it 1 billion times in front of 40,000 people. It was nothing. And Joe Ross, I feel like, it was the same way. He just kind of went out there and started throwing strikes. And there was never a sign like, oh yeah, he's a little jacked up. He's a little this, he's a little nervous, he's a little something. He just went in and started throwing strikes.
He did not do the AJ Cole, is what you're
did
trying
not
to say.
do the AJ Cole. The Nationals won that game, by the way, don't forget.
Oh, I know.
But
I know.
Yeah, it was special to watch, and he's done it for 3 starts now. It's not like it's just off them. It's really weird. I'm trying to look through Joe Ross's game logs on Fangraphs, and he's listed as a pitcher and designated hitter.
Yes, he did designate hit.
That's so weird.
He came in the 16-4 game as a designated hitter when he was pitching, and there were pitchers pitching, or position players, position players pitching for the Rays. The Nationals ended up giving up their DH spot just to,
I did not know that. That's really funny.
Yeah, it was really cool, and it was in a blowout game, a National League rookie starting pitcher hit against an American League position player.
Yeah, that was the game that I missed most of, unfortunately. So that is really cool.
So yeah, he will forever have that on his Baseball Reference /Fangraphs page.
That's hilarious.
So cool.
So the thing about Joe Ross that's really so great. He, like you said, he's made 3 starts. He's already a +1 WAR player as a pitcher.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's unreal.
Most.
And you have to imagine, he's 23. He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
You have to imagine that's not going to continue. He's always, had a lot of future value. An above average Major League Baseball player, an above average Major League pitcher, I should say, and a decent starter. But I'd imagine that's going to come down. But who knows? Maybe the National find a.
Well, what's the old segue? Or segue. I'm used to saying segue now.
Yeah, apparently.
What's the old adage? I mean, there's no book on Joe Ross yet.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, eventually, we've talked about before that what really sets good players apart is the ability to make adjustments,
right.
Whether it's offensively or pitching. The hitters are going to make adjustments on a pitcher.
Yep.
And whoever makes the next adjustment quicker and better.
No Major League advanced scouts were going to watch Joe Ross's minor league starts thinking that he was going to be a Washington Nationals starter this year.
No, especially, with the start of the Nationals rotation.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody was going and looking at Joe Ross in Double-A and saying, "Oh yeah, he's totally going to make a major league start in 2015." Nobody was thinking that. So no teams are advancing guys and going to cities ahead of a series. Now they know what Joe Ross is doing. So people are going to do that, and they're going to see that. Now he might not make another start. Steven Strasburg will be back here pretty soon, but and if he does make a start, it's probably just one more. But he's not going to surprise guys when he makes his next major league appearance. There's going to be no like, oh, hey, this guy's kind of good. They're going to know. They're going to know what they're looking at, and that's really when you're going to see what Joe Ross is capable of. You got to love the the persona, I should say, the way that he acts on the mound, and his stuff's incredible.
Yeah.
So his fastball is ridiculously good. So
and I'm going back to the trade in the offseason where everyone was blown away that Mike Rizzo was able to get Trey Turner.
Yeah.
No one was talking about a guy named Joe Ross.
Yeah.
Who I believe also appeared on top 100 lists for prospects.
Yeah, he did. And
so we're not talking a guy coming out of nowhere. I mean, this was a chip. But the fact that the Nationals were able to get who is Trey Turner, who is now their number one position player prospect, ahead of someone else you've already seen in the majors this year in Wilmer Difo, and a player named Joe Ross, who is, even if he does absolutely nothing else for the rest of his career, he has put together 3 starts, racked up 1 win of WAR for a team that's, fighting hard to make the playoffs and looking to bring a championship to DC. And I mean, you can't really shake a stick at that. Even if Steven Strasburg comes back and the Nationals pitchers stay healthy for the rest of the season, Joe Ross was a big part of it in just 3 starts for a kind of a throw-in for a trade where the Nationals really didn't lose anything.
No, they didn't. And that's not saying – and Steven Souza is having a great year. He's been a huge part of that Rays outfield. But the Nationals, Mike Rizzo's doing what he does. He found value out of a guy that – coming into the season, you looked at and said he doesn't have a spot on this team. He would have come in to play for the Nationals. Sousa would have come in to play for the Nationals in 2015 as a 4th outfielder.
Right.
Now you look at it with the injuries, it would certainly have been helpful to have him. But at the same time, you look at what the value they've gotten out of Joe Ross, and that what a lot of people think Trey Turner can do as early as next year. And he was doing great things with the Padres Double-A affiliate before he came over to Harrisburg.
Right, and not just that. You're seeing who, in all rights, will be the National center fielder next season, get valuable major league experience.
Exactly.
Without a ton of pressure.
Exactly, which was concerning earlier because when he came up as an extra piece in the outfield and was then sitting on the bench, that's concerning because you want a guy like that to keep getting at bats. But now that he's playing every day, they're getting a lot of views of a guy like Michael Taylor, who they need to get a lot of views of before they commit to him to be their starting center fielder next year.
Exactly. So
yeah,
it's just been a win all around.
Yeah.
Mike Rizzo has traded for 2 pieces this offseason that have just been so incredibly valuable to the Nationals this season. And it's fantastic because at the time we were talking, it's nice. Oh, great. Well, the Nationals got, a second baseman. We got another pitching prospect. Great. Cool.
Right.
That was pretty much it. And you're seeing these players make an incredibly impactful. Oh, God damn it.
Say it.
I'm not going to say impactful.
Say impactful impact.
I'm not going to say impactful impact. I'm not going to do it. An impactful contribution.
There you go. Okay.
to the 2015 national season. God, I was so close.
I know. I wanted it so bad. Oh, God.
Wasn't going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
Well, not going to do it.
Do it.
So we kind of missed a point earlier, so I want to move on to this before we talk about the, kind of one of the last things we mentioned we were going to talk about on the podcast. We didn't talk about Jose Tabata at all.
Yeah.
So that's probably something that we should talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about Jose Tabata.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's not very liked.
Yeah.
In baseball, in Pittsburgh, anywhere.
Safe to say, at least in DC, he's the new Pete Kozma.
Yeah, but I think he actually might be more vilified already.
Oh, no doubt about it. Because Pete Kozma didn't do anything wrong, right? I mean, he got a bloop shitty hit, and that's the way it is. But a lot of people have a very strong opinion that what Jose Tabata did was fundamentally wrong.
Yes, and anyone who's ever talked to either of us knows that we both find the unwritten rules stuff ridiculous.
Yes.
We find it ridiculous, the whole Brian McCann, police kind of.
Yeah, right.
So I still have a problem with it. I understand there are situations where that might be okay. I know back about 15 years ago, I believe in a Diamondbacks game, it was a 2-0. Someone was throwing a no-hitter, and someone tried to lay down a bunt.
Yeah.
In a 2-0 game in the 8th inning, I think that's okay in a no-hitter. I
totally
really have
agree.
absolutely no problem with that. A close game. But with 2 strikes, 2 outs in the top of the 9th in a perfect game, in a 6-0 game, to wear all of the body armor.
Yeah.
And yes, he didn't necessarily lean in, but he leaned down.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere today, I think it was on the Washington Post, that there have been 250, 260 pitches within 1 inch of the pitcher, the slider that Max Scherzer tried to throw to Tabata and failed. And none of them have hit a single batter until Jose Tabata.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting to see in writing. But it was a dick move.
Yeah.
And you saw the replay of Matt Williams. He was pointing at his elbow, but he said he wasn't going to say anything. He didn't want to mess up the rhythm, all that. And all credit to Scherzer for, taking the high road. And I know there are a lot of fans not taking the high road, but it's not a cool thing to do. He was rightly booed. I'm glad the Nationals decided not to beat him.
Because I would agree.
And by the point that he actually came to bat, the Nationals were up 9-0. And that would have just looked really petty.
I thought that because it was 9-0, it might actually happen. Like, it's not something you want to do in a 1-run game, but a 9-run game, you say screw it. But Gio was pitching so well, you don't want to do that. But I don't know. For me, I look back on it. It's obviously frustrating. I was there to. No hitters are rare, but perfect games are holy shit.
Yeah. And
so obviously being there for a perfect game would have been awesome. Having a perfect game in Nationals history would have been awesome. It really makes me angry to go back and look at the clip. There's a lot of people said, the reaction time that you have is so insignificant. You're not even thinking about that thought process. You're just, you're doing what you're doing. You're doing whatever. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
The move of Tabata into the ball was so deliberate.
Yeah, and the fact that he's like, oh, it was a slider that wasn't sliding, I could tell that.
Yeah, well, and it was a slider, and it wasn't slide. All of these things are true. However,
well, I'm saying if he knew that it was a slider that wasn't sliding, and he still did that,
yeah,
why?
I have no problem. Reason? I personally, as baseball goes, I have no problem with a player who doesn't get out of the way of the pitch. I have no problem with that. I think that there is, when Danny Espinosa was scuffling, he did it all the time. He didn't lean into it. He just stood there and he's like, all right, I'm going to go to first base now. And I have no problem with it. And I honestly have no problem with it in a no-hitter or a perfect game situation. I have no issue with that whatsoever. The problem that I have is
he actively leaned into it.
The active elbow with, like, as you said, with full body armor down into it. He never even felt it.
No.
But it ruins the perfect game for Max Scherzer. And that to me is the problem that I have with it the most. I don't fault him for doing it. Right. I don't fault him for standing in the way of the pitch. But
do you fault the umpires for not calling him on it?
It's hard to not fault the umpire, right? I mean, I think you have to look at the umpire and say, listen, I think that there's some blame to go around there, and this is like, defining first world problems here. We're complaining about
a no-hitter instead of
a perfect game, but you just look at what could have happened there. I mean, I understand you don't want to mess up the rhythm. That's probably the right thing. But on the other side of it, what happens if he steps back and does it and takes the pitch, and then the next one Scherzer messes up and throws him a meat fastball, and that meat fastball becomes a single in right field.
Right, and the problem is we didn't get to see it actually get settled between pitcher and batter.
Exactly. So. And to defend the umpires here, which is not something that I do often, to defend the umpires, it is really difficult in that situation. You are calling a perfect game. You do not want to be the next
Jim Joyce.
Like, that is really where you're looking at. So if you go and you say, oh, he leaned into it, he's out, perfect game, then,
well, it would have been just a ball or a strike.
Well, it would have been a strike. It would have been strike 3, and it would have been a perfect game.
Yeah, well, if it was in the strike, if it was determined it was in the strike, but that's but anyway,
I think that it's really hard to criticize the umpire in that situation.
Right. It's a no-win discussion. I mean,
the game is happening, incredibly quickly. Now you could have a different conversation and say, why is that not reviewable? And then you could have a conversation. If you're going to do instant replay and you want to get the calls right, that should be a reviewable play, and it obviously wasn't. Otherwise, I would hope that there would have been a review.
Right. Yeah, it's not reviewable because it's technically discretion. But,
so that's.
I mean, when it comes down to it, it was a dick move.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure the Pirates thought it was a dick move, and I know there were some dick Pirate fans at the game, including one who didn't want to take a picture for us.
Yeah,
I mean, what's that about?
Pretty rude.
And the fans chanting "perfect game" in the ninth. Why would you not want to see a perfect game? Your team's not going to come back from 6-0 anyway. That's
the thing. I was out in line waiting for the souvenir ticket for after the game, and a Pirates fan was there with his dad. His dad gave him a ticket, and we chatted for a little bit. And he goes, "I got to tell you, man, this is a Pirates fan. He's decked out in Pirate stuff." And he goes, "I got to tell you, in the 5th inning, my son and I started rooting for Max Scherzer." Like, when you see what's happening, you have to look at it and just appreciate it and say, like, if I was at a baseball game and someone was throwing a perfect game against the Washington Nationals, I'm not saying I would be like, I started rooting for that pitcher, but you have a chance of seeing an historical thing. Why are you going to be a jerk about it to the people who are enjoying that? Like,
that's just crabby. That's just being a crab.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was a dick move to lean into it, not taking anything away from Max Scherzer, who just absolutely was lights out, beautiful, incredible, all that, with the greatest one of like we've talked about, just a phenomenal experience. But the fact of the matter is, in the College World Series, that would have been a strike or a ball, and there would have been no base, and that's just crazy talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a tough thing for the umpire to do.
It's a tough call. I mean, I'm not faulting them for not making the call. It's a really tough call. I think the fault lies on the mentality there. And for me, ultimately, I don't have a problem with trying to get on base. Like, if he tried to lay down a bunt there, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with booing to break up a no-hitter, or bunting to break up a no-hitter at all. But in the circumstance, and it was a great at bat. It really was. He fouled off several pitches.
Yeah,
and it was
he was having a great at bat.
It was a great at bat, and for it to end like that, it's not fair to him or Scherzer because it makes him look like a dick, and it puts a stain on things. When respected baseball writers are like, I don't condone drilling players intentionally.
No, I agree.
When Dave Cameron of Fangraphs says, I don't condone drilling players, but Jose Tabata needs one in the ribs tomorrow.
Yeah.
When someone like that says something, that's kind of telling.
Yeah, right. Dave Cameron's certainly not like your traditional narrative baseball writer. That he's the guy that's looking at numbers and whatever. He's not going to get all caught up in that stuff. And he wasn't the only one. There were people. I mean,
there were a lot of them.
National baseball writers from beginning to the end of the world who were like, that was so Bush League, and it was.
Oh, Keith Lowe, who I don't particularly enjoy. He was in rare form.
Yeah, I didn't see any of it, but you and a couple of other people called it out. I mean, it was not cool, but at the same time, that giving Max Scherzer credit, and for the truth, Max Scherzer threw one in on him, and it wasn't his best pitch, and it was a slider that didn't slide back, and it was really bold in that situation to even throw a slider, and he probably thought that because the fact that, as you said, it was a really good at bat from Tabata, and a lot of contact was happening. He didn't want to throw a fastball. He didn't want to take a chance that fastball was going to end up in the outfield somewhere or rolling through the infields for a hit that was going to end the perfect game. So he tried to be a little too cute, and it bit him. So you could look at it either way, honestly.
Yeah. But anyway, that's our talk on Jose Tabata. I mean, he's a dick. Yeah. And that's fine. I'm glad the Nats didn't hit him.
I am too.
I don't condone that, and that I think that would have looked like incredibly poor sportsmanship after being up 9-0. If it were still a 0-0 game, I would have waited till the 7th when Gio was done.
Yeah, exactly. Use it for Gio's last pitch.
Exactly.
So So we're closing in the next 3 minutes at the end of our hour. So let's do final thoughts.
Oh, did you not want to talk about the thing?
I do, but we're out of time.
Okay.
We can talk about it next time.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys again in a month, I guess.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. I mean, we didn't even touch on the 16-4 game, but for talking about pitchers hitting and hitters pitching too. 23 hits, team record. That's really cool.
Yeah.
9-run first inning. That was incredible. Max Scherzer, lighting the world on fire, was really, really awesome. The Nationals have not had a good season.
Right.
The NL East is a dumpster fire.
You're making my point, so just keep going.
Yeah.
This is my closing thought, so keep going.
The NL East is absolutely terrible. The Nationals have 2 players playing offense right now in Bryce Harper and Yunel Escobar. They have one pitcher who is lighting the entire universe on fire in Max Scherzer. They have Steven Strasburg on the disabled list. Jordan Zimmerman is having an off year. Gio Gonzalez is being Gio Gonzalez, and Doug Fister spent plenty of time on the DL himself. You've seen Taylor Hill. You've seen Felipe Rivero. We've seen Joe Ross, who most people didn't know who Joe Ross was.
Right.
We've seen so many players come through DC this season. It's preposterous. The team is a game and a half in front right now. Without Jason Worth, without Ryan Zimmerman, without Anthony Rendon for the lion's share of the time, and they're a game and a half up.
And a pretty poor bullpen to boot.
Yeah, an incredibly poor bullpen.
Yeah, outside of Drew Storen, who is ridiculous.
Yes. So, if the Nationals are able to put together...
Oops, sorry.
Wow.
I just knocked a poster off my wall because I thought that the U.S. women's national team was about to score a goal.
My points were that good.
Yeah.
Joe is knocking things off the wall.
I am so excited.
If the Nationals are able to put together a 540 record for the rest of the season, they will win the NL East going away.
Yep.
The division is that crap.
It's not. It's bad. It's really bad.
It's crap. And the Nationals have not been healthy all season.
Yep.
They hopefully will get healthy soon and get Ian Desmond learning how to hit again.
Yeah,
And
which is
then-
a huge thing that we didn't talk about at all, and we'll talk about at some point.
Right.
Or,
The Nationals were, I want to say, 34-33 or something like that. And last year they were 35-32, and they ended up winning the division by, roughly 1,500 games
yeah.
last year against a better division. So things are looking up. The Nationals are playing better baseball the past few days at least.
Yep.
But honestly, as we've all seen, you can win 100 games or 98 games and lose in the first round.
Yep.
Or you can win 85 games and win in the playoffs regardless.
Yep.
Making the dance is the important part, and right now that needs to be the focus.
Yep. Couldn't possibly agree more.
This is a nice capper right here. You ready?
What's that? Nice.
Yep.
On that note, my closing thought is, Michelle, I agree, Joe Ross does equal sexy beast.
Oh, that's nice.
So, well, thanks, guys, for tuning in to Nats Talk on Vigo. Episode 95. We're
closing in.
Yeah,
We'll get there by December.
Yeah. By the end of 2015, I guarantee a 100th episode of this show.
Oh, you heard it here, folks.
That's bold guarantee. I've got only 30 weeks to go.
Beautiful.
But thanks again for listening. It was a lot of fun to rehash the awesomeness that has been the last week of Nationals baseball. And again, just to go back to it, there's been some, because of the events of Nationals baseball, there's been some pretty cool writing on the natsblog.com over the last couple of days. So you should go and read that if you haven't at this point, because it's some good content.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It has.
He's Joe Drugan. I'm Donald Trump's hair. And this has been Matt's Talk on the Go.
Have a good one.